Behind the gates of the Mission San Luis Rey de Francia thrives an active friary, a dedicated historical society, and a major renovation project. Come with us now to discover each of these interesting aspects of the King of the Missions. Franciscan friars still live, work, and serve on mission grounds. Today's friars face the challenge of operating the mission with all the demands of running a business, while ministering to the spiritual needs of the mission community. Friars have lived and worked at Mission San Luis Rey since 1798. Today we meet Friar James Lockman.
We were founded by St. Francis of Assisi, everybody's favorite saint in Italy. The order really from the beginning was founded to be a presence of the church outside of sort of the walls. The friars literally lived outside the walls of the cities, usually with very poor people. And so right from the beginning, we had an identity with the poor, with the outcast, and that really gave a flavor to the types of ministries and just presence that the friars have had over the last 800 years.
The impact of the Franciscan friars in California is well documented in journal entries and mission architecture.
We have, of course, here in California, the survival of many of the writings of the principal people involved. So Junipero Serra, who we consider to be the apostle of California, his right-hand man, Firmin Lassuen. In those writings, it's really very apparent their deep love and concern for the native peoples. With the sense of Christianizing, new places in the world, the Franciscans brought a very progressive sense of sort of civil order with them. That bears itself out in the architecture even of the missions. They're very geometrical, they're organized.
Fast forward more than 200 years from their early history in California, and friars continue to serve Oceanside and other communities.
The friar who really ran San Luis Rey for the whole time that it was a very active mission from 1798 to 1834, his name was Antonio Peri, and in his writings we know that he envisioned San Luis Rey as being the mission being the center of a great city someday. He had real foresight, and I'm fortunate to be able to follow as one of his successors in his footsteps.
Friars of the local province provide ministries that range from retreat services to outreach programs.
The Franciscan friars are now a worldwide religious order in the Roman Catholic Church. We're about 30,000 friars worldwide.
11 Franciscans and 6 lay people form the Franciscan community at Mission San Luis Rey.
Here at Mission San Luis Rey, we see our ministry as involving our retreat house. We have about 20,000 visitors a year to our retreat facility. They may be overnight, they may be day program folks. We also have the Mission Museum, which is a major educational outreach, especially to fourth graders. We have this time of year between 500 and 1,000 fourth graders visit us each week. The museum is open 7 days a week to any visitor who wishes to spend some time with our history and the beauty of the Old Mission Church. And then we have our cemetery, which is an active cemetery. We're continuing to expand it within a sort of a defined footprint on the property, where one of the beautiful places where people can bring their loved ones when they've passed away, and we have many visitors who come daily to the cemetery as well to find peace and consolation with their loved ones who are buried here. This is one of 4 sites in our province where we have what we call the Franciscan Covenant Program, which is a program where we invite lay people to join us for 1 to 6 year period. And they really are part of our Franciscan community. They pray with us, we share meals together, recreation, retreat time, and as well as share ministry with them. So they're a great part, a great asset to us, and bring a wonderful kind of balance to the rest of us who are all men. So this includes women as well. And we live right here. This is our home. This is a typical room of a residence of any of the friars that live here at the mission. It's a fairly simple room. There's a bed, there's a wardrobe, a desk. You can see that we live a fairly simple life, and this room is sort of a model of that. We're in the library in the Franciscan residence at Mission San Luis Rey. This is where many of us begin our day. We rise around 6 in the morning, shower, get a cup of coffee, and come in here and read the newspaper. Shortly before 7, we gather in our house chapel, which is right next door, for morning prayer and for the liturgy of the Eucharist. Our days typically run from 8:30 in the morning and all the way through the day with different kinds of meetings and ministry. While we may sort of formally end the day with evening prayer and dinner, many of us then go back to work in the evening, especially myself and the men who work over in the parish, often working until 9 or 10 in the evening. Probably the difference today, more than the amount of work or the time dedicated to work, is how many different hats a number of us have to wear.
Friar James Lockman serves as Executive Director and Guardian of the Franciscan Community. His duties range from coordinating programs to overseeing the spiritual welfare of each community member.
Our ministry, our outreach is always to be people of what we call the good news. In our particular way here at San Luis Rey, we have a long tradition of hospitality as well.
Life has changed quite a bit for friars over the past 200 years. Still, community service and spiritual guidance continue to be the hallmarks of a friar. A 10-year renovation project has broken ground at Mission San Luis Rey. But before we take a closer look at building plans, let's pause to meet members of the Old Mission San Luis Rey Historic Foundation. This organization acquires most of the donations and grants that support maintenance and renovation projects at the mission. Over 50,000 visitors a year come to Mission San Luis Rey to enjoy its history. Lynette, can you tell us how the foundation helps preserve this history?
Well, we rely heavily on grants as well as donations. We have a dedicated board that has dedicated their time and effort to preserve this for future generations.
The Old Mission San Luis Rey Historic Foundation is comprised of a distinguished board.
It's made up of 8 board members, which are comprised of architects, attorneys, and business people throughout the North County.
The foundation was created to help fund the physical structures of the museum. Now, our foundation is a non-religious organization. We are not affiliated with the Catholic Church or any other church. We are here for the maintenance, preservation, enhancement, and restoration of the Old Mission San Luis Rey. The mission itself gets no funding from the Catholic Church, no funding from the government, no funding from the city. The mission is an independent operation.
Due to the lack of federal and private funding to the mission, Old Mission San Luis Rey Historic Foundation was formed.
Decisions relating to grants and requests do come from the mission directly through the guardian and the executive director, and they submit to us a list periodically of different areas that they're looking for funds. So we then in turn go out and try to secure grants and or donations any way we can to support their efforts. The foundation is specifically looking for funds to help the mission with city water, with the seismic retrofit, and as you know, this is visited by school children every day, many visitors, and we want to make sure that it's totally safe, not to mention all of the artifacts that are housed here at the mission and the museum. Through the support and help of the San Diego Foundation, we're being given direction and planning and support on how to raise the funds. Our initial request at this point would be close to $15 million. That is our goal.
The San Diego Foundation is made up of many trusts with assets of over $500,000. Income from foundation endowments make grants that are allocated to worthy projects.
The San Diego Foundation has been very important to us because they gave us guidance in the very beginning They helped us with our mission statement. They've helped guide us in a number of ideas for fundraising. And they really have been an asset to the Mission San Luis Rey Historical Foundation.
The Mission San Luis Rey Historic Foundation works to secure grants and raise needed funds to preserve the King of the Missions.
The old Mission San Luis Rey is a historical treasure because of the many things that have happened over the years. This place, back in the 1800s, was the social center of this area. This mission predates the town of Oceanside. The mission, to me, is a place of peace and quiet. If you just come here, sit, meditate, and just think of all the wonderful things that have happened around us over the years.
I just feel a closeness to this beautiful location that we just can't let it go in disrepair.
One important project for the foundation is to raise money for earthquake retrofitting. Tom, can you tell us why that project's so important?
It's extremely important because where we stand right now is the main portion of the building that could be affected by an earthquake. It would be virtually destroyed. If it's not done by the mandated deadline, number one, there could be heavy fines. And number two, the longer we wait, the more it's going to cost, and the problems of safety can multiply.
While fresh paint covers up some of the wear, major renovations are needed.
We want to preserve this mission for generations to come. It's a beautiful historic place, and the ambiance here is like no other place in the world. And we want to preserve that for future generations.
A fully comprehensive improvement plan is underway. Mission San Luis Rey improvements include expansion of the beautiful cemetery, restoration of the historic lavanderia, and development of a 6-acre meditation park. Friar James Lockman, the Executive Director of Mission San Luis Rey, brings his knowledge of horticulture to the mission at a perfect time, just as groundbreaking begins on renovation plans.
As I've grown into the Franciscan life and continue to grow into it today, it's a wonderful place to put nature together with spirituality. This is a grand stage in many ways that I can pull together my knowledge of the natural sciences, my love for the spiritual life, my love for people, and into a great drama that includes ecosystems, that includes many different cultures, that includes history and tradition, and of course this wonderful place.
A native Californian, Friar Lockman has always had an interest in gardening and plants.
My earliest memories are of gardens and plants. I've gardened all my life. I grew up in Southern California, so I knew the cultivated plants and the wild plants from Southern California by the time I went to college, and it's no surprise that I studied botany and did graduate work in environmental horticulture before joining the Friars. And once I joined the Friars, I was interested in exploring the interface between ecology and spirituality, and that was the project that I engaged in during my theological studies at Berkeley. It's a pretty global interest in ecology and how people interact with the environment and how we can interpret that for today's people.
Building plans began in the 1990s with the idea of revenue-producing development.
We approached the city of Oceanside at that time with the idea of developing a retirement home on part of our unused property. And the city came back and responded initially, yeah, that's possible, but come back with a master plan for the whole 56 acres of property.
The original plan grew from building retirement housing on 6 acres of mission property to a fully comprehensive improvement plan that the city approved in 2003.
The development of a new friary for retired friars, a cemetery expansion plan for the retreat center.
The environmental impact is considered in all phases of the project.
We'd like to take a couple of our parking areas and improve those in such a way that they actually become part of the functioning ecology of the site. So we're going to be removing asphalt and putting in permeable materials, doing a lot of tree planting for shading, using all throughout the grounds, wherever possible, California native trees.
It will take 10 years for the entire project to be completed. Cemetery expansion has already begun. Plots are available to all religious denominations at the Mission Cemetery. The historic lavanderia is also being improved with new landscaping. Additional native plants and historic tours will enhance future visits to the sunken gardens.
At the peak period of the mission, there were about 3,000 residents here at Mission San Luis Rey, and this is where people would come and gather every day to bathe, to do laundry, to share recipes. And what we have here are some really amazing ruins that are still in very good shape. We want to be sure to stabilize and preserve the archaeological ruins on the site, but we also want to be able to interpret them more thoroughly for visitors. So we've taken now 6 acres of this part of our property that goes right down to the entrance of the mission. And we're developing a park, really, that will be open to the public. It will be open for people who just want to stroll, but there'll be lots of places for interpretation, gathering points for courses, classes. We're going to be interpreting ecology, ethnobotany, which is how the Luiseño people use the plants that were native to the area for various uses, and our different ecosystems that are present here on the property.
In addition to ecological interpretations, visitors will also learn the past industrial uses of the lavanderia.
This is also the site where all of the fired brick for the mission was made. We have the ruins of the kiln. There's vats where tanning took place. There's bathing pools on either side of the stairway that were walled and places where people bathed during the day. And then, of course, the laundry area down at the bottom here that's so clearly marked today. The Luiseño people are working with us on this project, and they're interested not just in the historical aspect, but in having a place that they can feel is very much their own, a place where they can help form their own children and the traditions and culture of the mission, as well as their contemporary culture today. Why don't we go up to the hill where we plan a site for our new meditation park? Down just below me, behind me, is an area where we hope to develop as a special event area, a place where we can hold all kinds of outdoor events for people. And we're standing here now on the hill of the mission. This is the high point of our property, and this is the area which will encompass our meditation park, which we hope to begin sometime in the next 2 years. This is about a 6-acre site. It will be a quiet sort of getaway place, a place where we'll have a number of different ecological zones, including a lot of plants that are native here to San Diego County. We're dedicated to continue taking care of the Franciscan heritage and tradition here at Mission San Luis Rey as we move forward into the 21st century with new plans, new hopes, new vision, new ministry.